Right.
And then he was just going so fast, it just like caught on fire on the track. I guess there was a big turn, and then he like went, and then he went into like a cow's field. Because the wheels were like coming off, so like they couldn't make a turn. James.
What happened?
A bee stung him. Once a bee stung me.
Trevor, the traction engine, was enjoying his work in the vicarage orchard. Birds were singing and apples were ripening on the trees. It was a lovely day. "Hello, Trevor," said James. "You look as bright and cheerful as my red paint." "Oh, I am," replied Trevor. "What's that noise?" "It's the bees," laughed Trevor. "They're all in these boxy things called beehives. I'm taking them to the station. The vicar says his bees make good honey, and he's giving some of them to his friends." Just then, Boko, the diesel engine, hummed in. "Take care, you two. Don't make the bees angry. They might sting you." James didn't like being told what to do by a diesel, and he buzzed away. "Goodbye, Trevor," called Boko, and set off to see Duck at the next station. Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, were busy arranging cars, but they scampered off when they saw Boko. "I remember the first time I met those two," laughed Boko. "They nearly made my eyes pop out. Edward soon put a stop to their games." "Edward is the only one who can keep Bill and Ben in order," chuckled Duck. "I sometimes call them the bees." "A good name," replied Boko. "They're terrors when they start buzzing around." James bustled in. "What's that, Duck? Are you afraid of bees? They're only insects after all, so don't let that buzzbox diesel tell you different." "His name is Boko, and he didn't. I wouldn't care if hundreds were swarming around. I'd just blow smoke and make them buzz off." "Buzz, buzz, buzz," retorted Duck. The next morning, James arrived at the station to collect his coaches. The passengers were excited and keen to get on board. The platform was crowded, and the porter was in a hurry. "Mind your backs," he shouted. Then there was trouble. The beehive fell and broke open. The station cleared like magic. James heard a familiar buzzing. The bees were too cold to be cross, so they buzzed around the fireman, hoping he'd mend their hive. But he didn't understand, nor did his driver, so the bees turned to James. His boiler was nice and warm. "Buzz off," hissed James. One bee burnt his foot. "Ooh, ah, ah, ooh." The bee thought James had burnt him on purpose. So it stung James right back on the nose. "Eee!" whistled James. He had had enough. So had his fireman and driver. They didn't notice till too late that they had left all their coaches behind. They tried everything to get rid of the bees. First, they spun on the turntable, but to no avail. They tried washing them off, but the bees clung harder to James's warm boiler. Then they tried smoking them off by going through a long tunnel, but still the bees wouldn't go away. "It's no good, James," said his driver. "We'll just have to go back to the orchard and fetch another hive." James's reply was drowned by the sound of buzzing. The vicar was waiting anxiously for James. When he arrived, the bees swarmed straight into their new home. "Come on, James," said his driver. "What you need now is a good hose down." Later that evening, James was resting in the shed when the vicar came to see him. "Thank you for saving my bees," he said. "It's a pity it's not Christmas. Then we could call you James the Red-Nosed Engine." Everyone laughed, even James. But instead, they decided to call James the Bee's Knees, which means they thought he was more useful than ever.
one because I like him. Because he's a good one because I like him. No, I like him.
What?
Because he's a favorite engine of all in the world. Quack, quack.
Percy and Duck like working at the harbor by the sea. On a clear summer's night, there's no better place to be. The big ships bring passengers. Cargo ships carry machinery and other things. Duck and Percy puff backwards and forwards with the crates of cargo as they are loaded and unloaded by the quayside. One morning, Duck and Percy noticed that the horizon was packed with sails flapping against the blue sky. I wish I could sail to faraway lands, sighed Duck. Engines can't go sailing, snorted Percy, because engines can't float. Duck still had his dreams. Suddenly, they were rudely interrupted. Wakey, wakey, hovered Harold. I'm looking at the boats, replied Duck. That's the regatta. Lots of boats, lots of races, great fun. I hover around in case I'm needed. Do you go to the horizon, asked Duck. Yes, and beyond. I didn't know there was a beyond, whispered Percy. Do you go to other places at sea, continued Duck. Certainly. I can land on ships, you know, anywhere, anytime. Goodbye. Duck sighed. He went on talking about the regatta all day. Percy lost patience. Well, Duck, I'd rather have my wheels on solid ground. Our rails can take us to all the places we could ever wish to see. That's an emergency, called Duck's driver. I'll check with the harbor master. He returned with bad news. A man taking part in the regatta has hurt his hand. We're to take him to the hospital at the next station. Harold's bringing him now. Come on. Good to see you again, Duck, whirred Harold as he landed carefully on the platform. The man was gently helped to safety. My job is to stay at sea in case of other emergencies. Otherwise, I would take this gentleman to hospital myself. Must fly. Goodbye. Duck set off on his journey. Soon he was steaming well, and his wheels were thundering along the track. When they reached the station, the man thanked everyone, and Bertie got ready to take him to the hospital. You look splendid flying along the line, Duck, glowed Bertie. No wonder they call you Great Western. Thank you, Bertie. Percy's right, he thought to himself. Engines are happiest when their wheels are firmly on the rails. That night, Percy and Duck stayed a little longer at the quay. The air was warm and the sea calm. There's a shooting star, said Duck. Don't be daft, laughed Percy. It's Harold. Look, he's hovering overhead. Something fluttered down towards Duck. His driver caught it. It's a flag from the regatta. Harold's giving it to you as a present, Duck. That was kind of Harold, whispered Duck. He may have whirly arms instead of wheels, but he seems to understand just what an engine needs. Duck still wonders about the lands beyond the horizon, but I think he knows that sometimes the best travels are those we can only dream about. Don't you?